What's up, everybody? Hey, what's going on, everybody? Happy Friday. It's Neil, creator of the Pentatonic Way, coming at you. I just wanted to chat about something. I read an article this week in Guitar World. I think it was Guitar World magazine online. I don't know if it's a magazine anymore. But they were saying that in 2025, just recently, it's been discovered that modeling amps have outsold traditional amps on reverb.com. I mean, it was only a matter of time. And, that inspired me. It's been something I've been wanting to chat about for a little while. Talk about, my viewpoint on modelers and amps. Students ask me all the time, and, it's not I don't have any hot takes. I just have what I feel, are some valid ideas. That was a cool little progression. A major, E minor, and then to D. So almost like a 1-5 minor, which is and then a 4 major. Or I guess you could think it's a 5 major, 2 minor, to 1. But I hear it the other way. I wrote some notes because I have a lot of thoughts about this, and I just want to kind of not waste your time. So let's talk about the pros and cons, right, of amps. So the pros for amps, right? And this will be the con for the model. I mean, yeah. You can adjust it on the fly. That's one thing I love about it. If I have a pedal board or if I have an amp, I find it very easy to just say, oh, I need a little bit more mids on my sound. I need some more treble. And I can just go and do that right to whatever pedal it is. Or I want some more, delay on here, or I need, the mix to be different. Easy to do. You just go and you do it. With a modeler, some people are very good at it, like John Nathan Cordy or whatever. They just go into the helix and boop, 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 twist, 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 done, saved, good. I cannot do that, and I'm terrified to do that. Like, it took me so long to get a good sound out of my helix that I'm just kind of like a set it and forget it. I have like 3 patches and 3, whatever they call it, stages, views, whatever it is. Of the same amp and effect setup, 3 different settings, and I don't touch it. And I only use 2 of them really. There's like a edge breakup and then a heavy sound. So yeah, that's a benefit for any sort of analog effects where you can just grab the knob and twist it. That being said, that can also be a con, right? Because you throw your amp in the car and the knobs get bumped, or you throw your pedal board in the case, those knobs get moved, your kid comes in and he wants to line up all the knobs so they're pointing straight up. Then that sound that you've been working on, you're like, oh, I dialed it in just now. You go to the bathroom, come back, it's gone. you know, maybe you took a picture of it, or you have to mark it with the marker. So yeah, that could go either way. Then let me see. They look cool. Obviously, amps look cool on stage. Nothing cooler than old AC/DC and Van Halen pictures where you look behind them, it's just a wall of amps. That's like awesome. That's so like rock and roll. But they're heavy as hell. You know what I mean? I just turned 50. I don't want to be lugging anything that weighs more than that. I'd like it much less than 50. So yeah, that's a plus for modelers. I have my modeler pedal board, throw it in a bag on my shoulder. I got my gig bag. I have this front FR speaker, a head rush. That thing's like 8 pounds. I can wing it about however I need. One trip, guitar, pedal board, amp, I'm in, you know. It has a stand, so it's up high, because that's another thing with amps. So you have the on-stage sound, which is great. But most of the time it's blasting at your legs anyway. Like, they're not meant to be heard right in front. If you do, it sounds harsh and like, yeah, not pleasant. It hurts your ears. But where you can put this up at head volume, above the drummer's cymbals, right? They can hear you. You can hear yourself at the, you know, much reduced volume than it would be if it was just the amp blasting at your pant legs, blasting about. So that's a plus and a minus. It looks cool, but they're loud, heavy. I like the fact that my modeler is I can plug it in right into the PA and it's going to sound the same every time. That's not to say they don't have some sort of EQs on their PA or something going on between the modeler and the speakers. That happens. But if I have this on stage, it doesn't bother me as much because that's my sound. It's always going to sound the same. And it's going to, you know, sound the same coming out of the PA as much as it can, right? Whereas if you have an amp, you take a mic, you don't know what kind of mic they're going to have that night, right? You worked so hard on your sound, and the guy sticks like a beat up 57 in front of it, in the wrong spot on the speaker. There's like so many variables, this way, that way, the X, Y, Z axis. You know, you're never going to get the same sound every time, which is disappointing, right? Because you work so hard on your sound. So there's that. But let me see, what else I got here? The feel. Obviously, this is the big thing, right? For amps and modelers. Like with a tube amp, you get that feel, that sort of percussive sort of vibe. That it turns it from like almost like a keyboard or a melodic instrument in a way. It is, I mean, it still is, but it has that percussive value to it, that you get that dynamic crunch and bloom, right? All the words to describe it. And you don't really get that with modelers yet, right? Like, they're always improving. Just like with AI, everything is improving. It's the worst it's ever going to be right now, and it's pretty good. So that is something to think about. I never really got a great feel through a modeler until I started kind of gain staging within the modeler. And they gave the Nobles pedal in there, that overdrive. And once I put that in front of an amp, that just made it happen. You know, you could get some like real dynamics, and it felt like you weren't like trying to force every note out of the guitar. They were just jumping out, and you could kind of be more subtle with your picking, or a little bit of compression on like a clean channel. That's great, but you can't do that on every modeler, right? Sometimes you don't have the option to like stack your gain or whatever. So there's that. But at the same time, to get that, you need tubes, right, in your amp. And tubes are finicky, right? You hit a bump on the way to the gig, your tube goes burr, just by a micro something. Now it doesn't sound the same. It's buzzing. You're like, what happened? Like, it was fine at my house. Then you have to pay hundreds of dollars to get it biased or whatever they do. So that's a problem. Also, to get that sort of feel, you really do have to crank it to the sweet spot, which I'm told is around 2 p.m., right? Like on your thing. I guess it would be that way on the camera. So there's that, and stage volume is also a big deal these days. So you know, are you going to be able to crank it into that sweet spot? If the sound guy's like, listen, we got a quiet stage, what do you got? You know, like apparently that's the latest thing, which makes sense, you know, to get a good sound. So there's that part of it. I like the idea of just walking in with a little tiny thing, right? Like I'm the guy that I don't really like camping. I don't like laying on the ground and camping, but I love all the cool little gadgets that go with it. I like the idea of being able to survive in the woods with the little box that you can flip open as a light and a water filtration thing, and it has a fire you can cook by, and you have a light with a fan on it, and I love all that little stuff, and you can put them in all your pockets in your backpack. That is very cool to me. And that's kind of what modeling reminds me of. You know, like I've gone to open mic nights with just a little Spark Pro and I just plug into that. I have a pretty good sound. You know, I can throw it right in my gig bag. I wouldn't use that for the whole gig, but I mean, it is cool to just roll into a place and use it to get your sound without having a pedal board or an amp or you know, whatever. So that's cool. But they're also, like, I have this pedal, Richie Kotzen pedal. It's the same thing, fly rig. That's the whole idea. You can just roll in, have this in your gig bag, put it in front of whatever amp happens to be there, and you got everything you need. You got gain, you got compression, delay, reverb. You got what do they call that thing? Sans amp. You know, so you can push whatever amp is already there, and then, you know, add some gain on top of that. So there's a lot of options there, and they're making more and more of that sort of thing, which I love. My first foray into modeling amps was the Roland Cube. Those little things, I could never get a bad sound out of it. Anything I did, I just twisted it, and that was kind of like modeling, but you could adjust it on the fly, which was awesome. And I used that for gigs. Like teaching gigs all the time. You know, I wouldn't use the amps that they had in the rooms. I just roll up with that in my gig bag, plop it down. I could get whatever song we're learning. I could kind of get close to the guitar sound for it just with that little amp. I bought two because I loved them so much. So I joke around because, you know, you'd be leaving a place late at night and it's dark, and people thought it was my car battery or something, because like they thought I didn't want my car stolen. And I'd be like, oh no, this is my amp, but I can also, you know, if I get mugged, I can, you know, beat a dude to death with it if I have to, and then go play a gig, right? Because the thing is built like a tank. It's not going to get hurt. So I mean, there's that. You know, you can weaponize modeling amps much easier because they're lighter. So put that on the pro list. Yeah, what else we got here? Light and compact. Oh, this is a big thing for modeling amps. You know, you get access. Like, I would never have access to the type of pedals and amps that are emulated within one helix. Like, it's nuts. Like, I know it's, you know, people with purists would say, well, it's not exactly it. It's just a, simulation of it, you know, close approximation, or they'd say not even close approximation, dude, you know, whatever. It's as close as I'm going to get, right? I like that whatever I have for my setup here is probably like $20,000 setup, right? I have like the train wreck amp, which is like one of a kind or whatever. They emulated that, and that's $10,000 or something, right? And then I have all these other awesome like pedals, boutique pedals, at my fingertips. The ones I'm using, I love, and I love how they work together. But like, I would never, ever, ever, ever have access to any of that. I could change my amp to a Vox and then a Tweed and then like a Mesa Boogie and then whatever. A Soldano, like you can't even get those, right? And there's Dumble sort of amps in there and stuff. Like it's fantastic, you know, and it's only getting better, which I think is cool. So there's that. That's a big deal. I never really had the budget for many tube amps or the place to play them at a volume that was like, you know, required. So that's something. Yeah, they take up a lot of space, regular amps. I have a few, now they got modeling, I have a few amps kicking around. I'm just like, well, do I really even need these, you know? Should I trade them in for something I'm going to use? Because I just don't use them, you know? It just doesn't happen. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on modeling amps. After the Roland Cube, I ended up getting a Line 6 spider valve, which was cool because that was like a Bogner power section or whatever they would call it. And then Line 6 modeling after that. And that was cool. And then they started emulating stuff, and I ended up getting the Stomp XL, which I love, but I'm not like a guy to sit around and like tweak settings all the time. I have friends that do that. They would love to just sit and noodle with sound and set in this and all this. And you can go way down a rabbit hole with this thing. You can adjust the microphone every which way, every type of microphone that you want. There's like 20 or 30 in there. You can adjust the speakers, the cabinet, the sag of the tubes and the hum and the bias, and you can go crazy. You know what I mean? Like, it's nuts. Eventually, I don't know how I did. I followed a bunch of YouTube channels. After 6 months, I, you know, kept like trying to find a sound and followed a YouTube tutorial and got kind of close and learned some tricks that, you know, that were helpful. But yeah, it's not like an amp where you can just roll into Guitar Center or whatever and just plug in and you go, oh, all right, yep, that's good sound right there. You know, it's more like you have to like work at it. But what you get out of it is like studio quality, right? It's like you have it mic'd up, it's ready to go, it's production ready, which is cool. So the time well spent. But I don't want to touch anything. Now that it's working, I don't want to touch it. I have a bunch of different Neo 1, Neo 2, Neo 3, Neo 4, Neo 5. Like, and the latest one is like the highest number, and I just don't touch it. Don't touch that. I tried buying other people's packs, modeling packs, which you can do for all the types of modelers. But, you know, like, they don't ever seem to work. Like, I hear them play it, and I'm like, oh, that sounds good. But then that's like through their guitar, through whatever, you know, like it always ends up sounding muddy to me, you know, or too thin or something. So then it's, you know, there's no easy way out. I love when they have good presets. I do have a Spark Go, like I was saying, and I like the presets in that. I was able to make a nice sound though too. Like after a while, you just have to get used to it, I guess, and you figure out like, oh, I think I just want this and I want that, and you feel like I have to feel like the sound is alive in a way, you know, and not like a dead sound. I'd rather have it too bright and then roll back my treble. Some people say that modelers have a very high end, like this presence, and it's brittle or, you know, harsh, and that can be true. And also, modelers aren't great for clean tones, really, you know. I haven't tried the Fender model thing. I heard that's really good. And it would be. You'd expect it to have good cleans if it's coming from Fender, right? So yeah, that's my thoughts on modeling. Now let me check this out. On the intro, that was modeling. That was my Helix. And then let's try this. This is that Richie Kotzen fly rig plugged into a, what is this called? Marathon 112. No, it's not a 112. It's a little practice amp. I love this thing. It's a good pedal, what do they call it? platform. So here's that same groove. This one's a little louder, so I can turn it down. So that's not E minor. So that sounds good, but I feel like it's missing some bite. So I'm like, oh, I'll just adjust the mids, right? Let's see. I can just go over here and go. Say, all right. Yeah, pretty cool. So I do like how this has a rounder sound as opposed to the other one, which is kind of harsher, but I like them both, you know. I like them both. Both can be good. I like the sound of my little Spark Go. I like the sound. I have a, I don't know if you can see it there, right here. That's the Boss, the original Boss Katana before they came out. I bought that one and then they came out with version 2. But I still love it. And I have those 2 cabs and it sounds great. I think a lot of times with modeling amps, it depends on what speaker you're running it through. Anyway, I will let you guys go. Thank you so much for hanging. If you did by the end here, yeah, subscribe if you want. I love chatting about guitar. And if there's anything I can help you with, let me know. And if you have any thoughts on modelers, I'd love to hear it in the comments. Like, what do you think? Are you a modeling person? Are you like definitely not a modeling person? You know, there's that whole, you know, school of thought, which is totally fine. You know, like they're not for everybody. You know, or are you for both? I feel like I'm kind of in both. I like both. I'd rather be able to use both than have to choose one. So, yeah, I will talk to you guys soon. Have a great rest of your week. That's another thing, the buzzing with the analog. All right, I'm gonna let it end there, but I'll talk to you later. Take care. Bye-bye.